ice storm damaged a Christmas tree farm just before Christmas. Ooh, that's the subject of this book, Icicles to Miracles, which I wrote and my sister, Paula Maloney, illustrated. And I will now read it. Shelley couldn't sleep because she was worried. If Santa didn't bring her any toys this year, nobody would. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve, and the ice storm had ruined everything. As she lay in bed, she remembered what her father had told her 2 weeks earlier, after the freezing rain had started to fall. "Why are you crying, Daddy?" Shelley asked, as she and her dad shuffled through their Christmas tree farm. Coated in ice, the entire landscape shimmered. It reminded Shelley of the crystal figurine displays she had seen in the fancy shop windows. "The freezing rain is destroying so many of our trees," her father replied. He looked all around at the ice-covered branches that lay on the ground. "Especially the big ones," he added. "We won't be able to sell very many." Shelley's dad tried to save whatever trees he could. He knocked the ice off the branches with a big stick, trying to prevent the ice from getting too thick. This would help the trees to survive. "What happens if we don't sell the trees, Daddy?" "It'll be awfully tough to get through Christmas, Shelley." That could mean only one thing, Shelley thought. No toys for Christmas this year. Her father was a wood carver and her mother was a home care worker, but the extra money they needed around Christmas time came from selling their trees that were now broken and bent. The freezing rain fell for days and days. Under the weight of so much ice, the power lines crashed to the ground and the electricity went out all over town. Only the candles and lanterns that burned in the night and the glow of the moon reflecting off ice gave light to the darkness. When the freezing rain stopped, the temperature dropped and dropped and dropped. Shelley was fortunate. Her family had a wood stove and she had a golden retriever puppy. The fire burning in the stove kept her warm all day, and Barley, snuggling in her bed, kept her warm all night. Now it was the night before Christmas Eve. Shelley lay in bed, hugging Barley, thinking about all those toys she would not be getting. "I hope Santa didn't have an ice storm too," she whispered to Barley. The little dog licked a tear from Shelley's face, shoved his cold, wet nose under her chin, and fell asleep. Before long, Shelley was too sleepy to cry anymore. She closed her eyes and followed Barley into dreamland. Crack! What was that noise she suddenly heard? Just another tree breaking, Shelley hoped. But she pulled the covers up over her head and grabbed on tighter to Barley just in case. "Help! Help!" Someone called. That was no tree breaking. Shelley tiptoed to the window. She gasped. She could not believe her eyes. She rubbed them and looked again. It was no mistake. There was an angel stuck in the tree. Upside down, legs flailing and wings flapping, but it was still an angel. Shelley giggled as she watched the angel fumbling about, finally escaping the clutches of the icy branches. "I said a nice place, not an ice place," the angel shouted skyward. Shelley pried open the window. "Who are you?" she called out in wide-eyed wonder. "Who are you talking to? And why are you here?" "Whoa, whoa, whoa," said the angel, flying up to Shelley's window. "Not so many questions. That's my job. Now, I want to show you something. Give me your hand, Shelley. That's a good boy, Barley." Within an instant, they were flying over the earth and under the moon. They followed a trail of stardust and song, then landed below, where a bright star glowed, on a country stable, where a baby boy had just been born. That was a softer landing, said the angel, crawling out of a bale of hay. I know who that is, Shelley exclaimed, pointing to the manger. That's baby Jesus with his mummy and daddy. Then she saw 3 men dressed like kings. They were giving things to Jesus. Barley shook the stardust from his fur, then bounded over to the 3 men. Maybe they had treats for him too. What are they doing? Shelley asked the angel. They're bringing, gifts to Jesus, said the angel, sneezing out stardust. Gold and frankincense and myrrh. God bless you, said Shelley. Jesus opened his eyes and looked at Shelley. He reached out his little hand. Barley licked it, and the baby cooed. I want to give Jesus a present too. What can I give him? Shelley asked. Instead of answering, the angel asked, What is the best gift you ever received, Shelley? Shelley didn't have to think long about that one. Barley. Why? Asked the angel. 'Cause he's so cute and cuddly. He plays with me, and I love him so much. He's just about my best friend in the whole world, you know. And I guess Barley loves you as much as you love him, right? Oh, I know he does. Love is a pretty neat thing, eh, Shelley? Sure is, she said, giving her pup a squeeze. So why not give Jesus something that shows you love him? Like what? Oh, I'm sure you'll think of something, said the angel. Shelley turned to Jesus. She thought for a moment, then said, I really don't know what to give him. Can't you help me? But when she looked around, the angel was gone. Where are you? Shelley yelled, rummaging through a bale of hay. Where are... I'm right here, said Mom, as she gave her little girl a good morning kiss. Shelley slowly opened her eyes, then bolted upright in bed. Where's the... she began, and then stopped. Where... Shelley rubbed her eyes. I guess I was just dreaming. You're awake now, sweetie, Mom said, then added, I just got a call from the shelter. They asked if I could go over and help out. A shelter had been set up in the community center. The power lines were still down all over town, but emergency power was supplied to the center by a generator. Those people who did not have wood stoves to heat their houses, boil water, or cook food could go to the shelter. Maybe you'd like to bake some cookies to take to the shelter, said Mom. Daddy said he'd help you. Shelley was too confused to think about the shelter. Why would the kings want to give Jesus a golden Frankenstein? And why wouldn't the angel tell her what she could give to Jesus? Now the baby was gone, and it was too late to give him anything. Barley whimpered and jumped onto Shelley's bed. He plastered her face with doggy kisses, and Shelley had to laugh. All right, Barley, we'll make cookies, but you have to help. So while her mom helped out at the shelter that morning, Shelley and her dad baked gingerbread men, and Barley helped by licking up the crumbs that fell to the floor. Before going to the shelter, Shelley had one more thing to do. While baking, she had thought of a great gift idea for her mom and dad. They would love it, if Barley didn't get his puppy teeth into it first. The kids at the shelter loved the cookies. So did Barley. No more for you, Shelley scolded when she noticed crumbs on her puppy's mouth. Barley licked his lips, then darted over to the window where an old man was sitting all by himself. Oh no, muttered Shelley. She was afraid of old man Spooky Bones. That wasn't his real name, of course. Some kids had nicknamed him that because he never smiled and was as skinny as a skeleton. Now her beloved Barley was with him. Trembling, she inched her way forward as the old man raised his hand over her puppy. You're a nice little fella, aren't you, boy? Spooky Bones said, petting the puppy's soft golden head. He doesn't seem scary, Shelley thought. He was even smiling at Barley. Yes, he's a good puppy, Shelley said quietly. Do you have a dog? No, but I have a boy and a girl. I don't see 'em much, though. Spooky Bones wasn't smiling anymore. They live far away and have so much to do, with their own kids and work and stuff." "Oh," Shelley mumbled. She looked down at the floor. She felt bad. She'd always thought he was a scary old man, but now she wondered if he was just sad and lonely. Then she had an idea. "I'll make you a surprise." Shelley found some paper and paints, and she and Barley made Spooky Bones a Christmas card. "This is the nicest card I ever got," he said in a shaky voice. Spooky Bones must have been happy now, because he was smiling. But Shelley was not too sure, because he had tears in his eyes. They chatted for a while and ate cookies. Before leaving, Shelley promised she and Barley would visit again in the new year. "And maybe we could take Barley for a walk together," said Spooky Bones with a hopeful smile, and he tickled the puppy under the chin. After returning home from church that Christmas Eve, Shelley gave her parents their gift. She had made a wreath from the boughs of the broken Christmas trees and had decorated it with little red bows and gingerbread men. Mom and Dad loved it. They hugged her, and then Mom said, "I think Santa arrived while we were at church." "Santa came?" Shelley ran with glee over to the Christmas tree. Lots of little colorful packages hung from the branches. The first one she opened was a little lamb, carved out of wood. Then she opened a little wooden cow, then a shepherd boy. This was so exciting! So many new toys to play with. The next one was a baby in a cradle of straw. "This is baby Jesus in the manger," Shelley squealed with delight. She continued unwrapping pieces of the nativity set while Mom went into the kitchen and made hot chocolate. Shelley finally came to the last piece and opened it. She gasped. Even Barley let out a puppy bark when he saw it and wagged his tail. Staring up at Shelley was a little wooden angel. It was just like the angel in her dream. Shelley remembered what the angel had said about giving something to Jesus to show she loved him. "I never did give Jesus anything," she said sadly to the angel. It was now well past Shelley's bedtime, and she began to grow sleepy. She rested her head on Barley's tummy and yawned. Suddenly, the angel from her dream was back. "I have something else to show you," said the angel. They flew once more over the earth and under the moon. They followed a trail of stardust and song, then landed below where the bright star glowed, on the country stable where Jesus was born. "Look, Barley!" Shelley exclaimed when she noticed the Christmas wreath hanging on the stable door. "That's just like the one I made for Mummy and Daddy." She also noticed that Mary and Joseph were eating gingerbread cookies, and the cookies for the shelter. Mary and Joseph smiled. "These are yummy, Shelley. Thanks." Then Shelley saw the Christmas card she and Barley had made for Spooky Bones. It was hanging over the manger where Jesus lay. "But those are presents that Barley and I gave to people back home." Shelley looked questioningly at the angel. "You gave those gifts out of kindness, Shelley," exclaimed the angel. "And every time you were kind to someone else, you were kind to Jesus." "Oh, Barley, so we did give Jesus a birthday present after all. Happy birthday, Jesus." The baby clasped her finger and gurgled. "Woof, woof," Barley barked and wagged his tail. When Shelley's mom returned to the living room with 3 mugs of hot chocolate and a doggy biscuit, she saw Shelley asleep with her head on Barley's tummy. Dad gently picked up his little girl and carried her to bed. He and Mom tucked her in and kissed her goodnight. But Shelley did not wake up. She was sound asleep with a smile on her face. Barley followed. He let out a big yawn, then shook himself. "Ma, you're a dusty, achoo, dog," said Dad. "What have you been playing in, Barley?" "Woof, woof," Barley barked and wagged his tail. He jumped onto the bed, wiggled in beside Shelley, and snuggled back to sleep. The end.